Welcome to another movie plot and enjoy the memories. We open in a time of witchcraft and sorcery, but a good cannonball to the face still reigns supreme. English privateers ransack a Muslim city and their captain Solomon Kane even dogwalks one poor fella with a sword in his throat. The Caped Crusader is locked out of the throne room by Ottoman defenders, but presumably this is a cannonball that blows open the door. Kane then buries his flintlock into the final survivor's face, who probably could have explained more about this suspicious room filled with mirrors. As they move past them, ghastly figures reach out and drag random crew members inside, but Kane doesn't seem to be very bothered. He even kills one of his own men when he tries to flee and declares himself the only devil here, as this guy's kind of a jerk. Fortunately, the rest don't have to listen to him much longer, as Solomon's locked inside the throne room and his entire crew slaughtered off screen. But hey, at least Kane found the Turk's obvious trapped pit of treasure with a decaying corpse of the king lying beside it. Before he can loot anything, the temperature drops as a hooded figure forms on the throne called the Devil's Reaper. He's come to collect Kane's soul after a lifetime of wickedness, as even Satan himself thinks that this guy's going a bit overboard. About to use a flaming sword to save us all from this madman, Kane blocks the executioner's blow and rejects his fate. Guessing he won't win a fight with this thing, he leaps through the beautiful stained glass window and into the water below. He manages to escape the Reaper and only doesn't get found because he seeks sanctuary at a monastery where he lives for the next year. Religious tattoos and scars now cover his body, as he hopes that some salvation might creep into his soul, like sprinkling a turd with glitter. The priests keep him on the straight and narrow, because if he commits a sin, the Reaper will know the location of that juicy soul. Kane has donated all of his wealth in hopes of finding redemption just for the abbot to one day banish him from the monastery. Owning lands to the west, he sets out to reclaim them and test if his newfound faith will shield him from the gaze of Satan. We have a flashback of Solomon as a young boy being expelled from his homeland by his father Josiah for not becoming a priest. His brother Marcus was next in line for the throne, so the youngest member of the Kane family walked out and became a pirate. Sometime during his travels, he gets ambushed by a band of robbers who only don't get their hearts ripped out because Kane's taken a vow of pacifism. Realizing that he only has a bunch of scrolls, they club him in the back of the head, and we get a dream sequence of more memories. Solomon didn't leave home right away until first coming across Marcus attacking a young girl because he's a creep. In an attempt to save her, Solomon pushed Marcus, but he tripped and fell off the edge of the cliff, so the little brother just dipped. The now wounded man is found by a Puritan family whose daughter Meredith treats his wounds as they travel to the New World. Her father William Crowthorn invites him to join them, and they pull over the wagon to set up camp for the night. The mother Katherine gets him talking, and Kane opens up about the only time he ever felt happy was during a battle. Meredith and her little brother with the same face find it interesting, while the older brother is turned off like a woman to that haircut. This basically becomes Kane's new family, and William sees himself in Kane, as he was also a soldier before turning Puritan, but he was never the level of this psychotic bloodshedder. They continue their pilgrimage, and Meredith makes Kane a new set of clothing with a steeple hat and everything. Now dressed like a true Crowthorn pilgrim, he moves with them from place to place until coming across a burned out settlement. Numerous corpses of villagers lay scattered about with their eyes burnt out, having come to watch the burning of a witch and regretted it. They locate a young survivor, and that night Solomon has Edward give her a cross of protection as a ruse to test the little girl's disguise. The witch turns to Meredith and marks her for abduction, then attacks Kane while returning to its original form. She says that the devil is still waiting for that soul of Solomon's, then turns into a flock of crows and flies away. She works for an evil sorcerer named Malachi, who looks like he fell asleep on a newspaper, and has a lieutenant who can turn people into zombies. Known as the Overlord, the masked man converts the bandits that robbed Kane earlier before moving on to the next village. They eventually come across the Crowthorn family and swipe the marked girl when Kane returns from taking a crap in the bushes or something. One of the corrupted men threatens to kill Samuel, so Kane tries to stop him without any violence, as he's a changed man after all. The Overlord puts the idea inside the zombie's head to slit the boy's throat, and Solomon just looks up at the sky like, what the hell, God? He tried it the nice way, so now breaks his oath to cause no harm by slaughtering everyone that doesn't pack up their horses and leave. During the skirmish, William is killed, and the son with the funny haircut, while Meredith is successfully kidnapped by the cowardly Overlord. When he's finished having his fun, Kane approaches a mortally wounded William, who survived just long enough to give us our next quest. He says that rescuing Meredith will earn Solomon a place in heaven, and I'm not sure where he gets off saying that, but it's worth a shot. Barely waiting for this man to pass before he closes his eyelids, Kane grabs what he needs for an adventure to try purify that soul. This is the last time we see the mother, while Kane tracks Malachi's followers across the kingdom, and as he catches up, kills each and every one. He rescues many captives but doesn't find the one he's looking for, as Meredith's shown being kept in the closest slave wagon to the Overlord. Everyone not turned into a black-eyed lapdog is migrating away from this land, which is coincidentally in the same direction of Kane's homeland. One day he comes across a church and while praying at the altar meets the priest Michael, who prevents this place from being called abandoned. He stays here feeding his congregation, which have all become ghouls and are being kept in the cellar. When Solomon asks what he's been feeding them, the so-called man of God pushes Kane inside and locks the trapdoor behind him. The cellar dwellers swarm him, but Solomon cuts his way through the group until noticing a hole in the wall leading to a tunnel. He manages to escape into the cemetery surrounding the chapel, where the undead are unable to follow onto consecrated ground. The corrupted bandits have killed the priest and been sent here to do the same to Kane, but he easily defeats them because there's only 3. He keeps one alive to interrogate for Meredith's location, but believes him for some reason when he says that she's already dead. He feeds the obvious liar to the ghouls, then believing he's failed his quest goes straight to the nearest tavern to sulk about it. Expecting Satan's Reaper to show up any minute, all we get is one of Solomon's old shipmates, Henry, who recognizes him. He asks him to lead a resistance against Malachi, but Kane refuses because the last time he killed some people to save a life, she just died anyway. During the night, however, Malachi's men scoop up Kane as he puts up no resistance when the Overlord arrives to punish the traitors. All of the resistance leaders, including Solomon, are crucified, and not with some tying of the wrists. These are straight nails through the palm. They raise the crosses up over the sacked village before converting all of the strong and enslaving all of the weak. At this moment, Meredith's cage passes the entrance and sees Solomon crucified, as they probably should have made this thing a bit shorter. She screams at him, alerting Solomon to her existence and the fact that he just gave up on his holy crusade for nothing. Kane rips his palms free and unties his waist, collapsing to the ground like he's going to do something but has no strength to stand. Fortunately, Henry and his crew arrive before Malachi's men behead him and cut them all down to rescue their captain. Since we can't just sit around until he's finished healing, naturally some woman uses her pagan magic to heal him in a jiffy. Kane intends to march straight into harm's way and takes some convincing from Henry and McNess that the resistance is here to help. Solomon learns that Malachi now stays at his childhood home and has turned the castle into a bone basket of Halloween decorations. This is a bittersweet surprise because Kane didn't even know his father was dead, but it means that he knows a secret passage to get inside. I, along with the rest of these poor souls, thought that it would have been better than just leading them into the main courtyard. Once they're all inside, the witch from earlier appears on a balcony, so Kane throws a sword into her heart, and that's all she wrote. Dozens of corrupted stream out of the castle, led by the masked menace, and Solomon's done it again, led his men into a battle that only he can handle. At least this time he saves a life in Henry, but then as he's fighting the Overlord, he's knocked over and flees from the courtyard. Our brave hero ditches his men and begins releasing the prisoners, who are basically just more arrow fodder to this guy. He lets them all run up ahead of him unarmed while he opens a cage to find his father still alive, having been kept prisoner all these years. There's no removing his shackles, so Josiah reveals that Marcus is still alive despite plunging 100 feet in the beginning. When every doctor failed to save him, the king called upon the sorcerer Malachi and offered him everything he had to save his son's life. The fine print to this deal with the devil is that Marcus became the corrupted Overlord who hides his busted face behind a mask. Knowing that his other son will never let him die, Josiah begs Solomon to put him out of his misery, and he reluctantly agrees. This guy then has the nerve to ask Henry and McNess, "Is this all of you that's left?" after he just abandoned them all to his brother's mercy. He could really use their help, but then just walks off to approach the throne room alone, getting himself cornered by an army. Fortunately, the doors open and he goes on to confront Malachi for the first time that we actually see this half a bookend in the whole movie. Meredith warns Kane that it's a trap, but I'm not sure if that's the correct word, as the sorcerer simply runs away. When Kane then releases Meredith from her cage, he's stabbed in the shoulder area by the Overlord, and I guess that's the whole trap. Luckily it wasn't the heart, because the two then have a duel with Solomon trying to appeal to his brother's humanity, but he's totally in Malachi's control, or maybe just still pissed about the whole cliff thing. Marcus fails to understand that their father's dead, so Solomon runs him through with his sword, but it doesn't stop the ugly zombie. Kane removes the mask to reveal his mangled smile, then sets him on fire, but the fight just continues. Meanwhile, Malachi has been summoning a demon inside a mirror and uses Meredith's blood to release it, so maybe that was the trap. When Solomon finally kills his brother, who's pretty much asking for it, he now has to deal with Satan's new 20-foot-tall Reaper. Replacing the flaming swordsman from the beginning, the monstrosity has come to collect Solomon's soul, but just slowly lumbers towards him. Kane basically just walks off one direction, avoids a swing, then walks back the other, and now he's alone with Malachi. By the time the demon slogs all the way back to the portal, Solomon manages to put a bullet in Malachi's head when Meredith pushes him away. His blood spray activates the portal and the demon passes through Solomon, taking the evil part of his soul back to hell or something like that. Just like William said, Kane has redeemed himself in the eyes of the Lord, and Henry approaches with McNess so that you know they didn't all die. The final scene shows Solomon burying his father and brother at what looks to be the same place the latter would attack young girls. He narrates that Meredith was taken back to her mother and that his new mission in life is to hunt the forces of darkness. And the movie ends.